What is up, guys? Randomonium here, and today we're going to be talking about divers. This video is a follow-up of my how to find your ideal playstyle, class, and subclass video, so if you haven't watched that one yet, I highly recommend it because it breaks down all of the champions into their classes and subclasses and will show you how you can find what subclass is best for you. If you have watched that video, then you're probably watching this video because you're interested in learning about divers. In this video, we're going to be covering Jarvan, Nocturne, and Vi. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about what defines divers, and then we'll go into what makes Jarvan, Nocturne, and Vi unique within the diver class. That is the focus of the video, what makes each of these champions unique within the diver class. I won't be going into tons of detail on champion abilities or item builds. Those types of information are more suited for champion-specific videos, so if you're really interested in any one of these champions, let me know and I'll either make a champion-specific video on that champion, or I'll try to point you in the right direction of someone who has already made a good video on that champion. The purpose of this video is to help you figure out if one of these three champions is a champion that you want to devote time to playing. Before we do that though, I want to give you a very special thank you to all of the diver mains who helped me with this video. As you can see on the screen, I had a lot of help. Most of the in-game footage you see in this video was provided to me by other YouTubers and streamers, so please check them out. I've left a link to all of their channels and streams in the video description below. Divers at their core are jack of all trades. They have damage, they have tankiness, they have crowd control, and they have mobility. The true strength of divers is that they are extremely versatile and they can adapt their build for whatever their team needs or for whatever best counters the enemy team. A diver can build full damage and have assassin-like burst damage, or they can build full tank and have vanguard-like tankiness. However, divers lack the escapes of true assassins or the AoE damage and crowd control of vanguards. All divers have strong forms of engage mobility, strong single target damage, and at least one form of hard crowd control. Divers are separated by what type of toughness they have and how reliant they are on their abilities. On the left we have the mitigation divers, the divers who gain shields or bonuses to resistances. And on the right we have the sustain divers, the divers who gain healing from auto attacks or abilities. On the top we have the divers who are based more on their combos, meaning that they tend to use all of their abilities rapid fire to deal as much burst damage as possible. On the bottom we have the divers who are more based on their attacks, meaning they tend to weave auto attacks in between their abilities, or they have attack speed steroids built into their kit. Today we'll be focusing on the champions in the lower left corner, the attack divers with mitigation. These divers are some of the most versatile when it comes to their build. What is considered optimal on these champions varies wildly from patch to patch, and they can be built anything from full damage to full tank. Because these divers have mitigation, they are stronger against burst-based champions like burst mages or assassins, but since they don't have sustain, they struggle more in sustained fights, and their jungle clears are typically slightly less healthy. These divers are Jarvan, Nocturne, and Vi. Jarvan, Nocturne, and Vi are almost commonly played in the jungle. Jarvan is also commonly played in top lane. I have seen Nocturne and Vi played in top lane as well, but it's extremely rare.
By my will, this shall be finished.
Jarvan, the exemplar of Demacia. Prince Jarvan comes from a lineage of kings. Though the Demacian ruler is chosen by a high council, the past 3 kings have borne the name Jarvan. Jarvan IV has been groomed since birth and is expected to ascend the throne next. Though born to a life of wealth and prosperity, Jarvan is a disciplined and fearsome warrior with an astute military mind. A general in the Demacian army, Jarvan is known for leading his troops from the front, his banner inspiring his legions of soldiers to follow him. Whether fighting off the Freljordian tribes of the north or the Noxian horde to the east, Jarvan is known for turning the tide of losing battles and achieving victory even when the odds are against him with ingenious tactics. Fiercely loyal to Demacia and its people, Jarvan stands ready to defend his country against all invaders, no matter the cost. Jarvan is one of the most versatile divers in the game, able to build anything from full tank to full damage and still be very impactful. He also has extreme versatility in the runes he chooses. Electrocute, Grasp of the Undying, Aftershock, Lethal Tempo, Hail of Blades, Conqueror, all are viable on Jarvan in the right situations. This flexibility makes Jarvan a great pick into nearly any team composition, but his jack-of-all-trades nature also means that he's a master of none, meaning that anything Jarvan can do, another champion can probably do better. The key success to Jarvan is adapting your runes and items to best complement your team and to best counter the enemy team. What also makes Jarvan extremely unique is his ultimate, dealing a large amount of AoE damage and creating impassable terrain for 3.5 seconds. 3.5 seconds is a lifetime in a League of Legends teamfight, making Jarvan especially good when going up against immobile carries with no way to dash over his wall like Kog'Maw, Jinx, Ashe, Draven, and most burst mages and artillery mages. Jarvan's large AoE on his ultimate also pairs extremely well with other AoE ultimates like Misfortune, Orianna, Lux, or Galio. During the cast time of Jarvan's ultimate, he is also unstoppable, meaning that he cannot be knocked up or displaced, and all other crowd control doesn't infect him until he lands. However, you should focus on using your ultimate to damage and trap as many people as possible, not saving it to negate crowd control. Jarvan is an extremely impactful ganker in all stages of the game, and is also very strong in team fights. Jarvan's primary engage tool is his EQ combo, also called the flag and drag. While on the surface this combo seems weak since it requires him to use 2 abilities to engage, while most other champions only need 1, Jarvan's EQ combo is one of the most powerful non-ultimate engages and crowd controls in the game. Not only does it have a great range, but it can also be deceptively fast in the hands of an experienced user. The real strength of Jarvan's combo though is that it knocks up and damages all enemies that he passes through, while most other forms of engaged crowd control stop on the first enemy champion hit. This makes Jarvan especially great at getting to the back line of the enemy team, since the enemy tanks can't block his engage. Jarvan can also buffer his EQ combo, allowing him to ignore some forms of crowd control. In the late game, Jarvan's Q is on a low enough cooldown that he can drag to his standard twice during a fight, allowing Jarvan to either have 2 knockups during the fight, or the ability to escape after he has landed his engage. One of Jarvan's greatest weaknesses is dueling. Jarvan can't match the DPS damage of skirmishers or more duel-centric divers, and he can't shred through juggernauts faster than they can shred through him. Jarvan isn't designed to be a split pusher like Renekton or Camille. He's a team fighter, through and through. All in all, Jarvan is one of the most versatile champions in the game. While he isn't the best at anything, he's pretty good at almost everything, making him a solid pick regardless of what your allies pick. I've never seen someone pick Jarvan and think, crap, they picked Jarvan. That's actually pretty high praise, since I think we've said that about almost every champion in the game, especially Yasuo. The power of Jarvan's versatility cannot be underestimated, and it is this versatility that makes Jarvan one of my favorite champions in the game, so I highly recommend you give him a try out.
Help is not coming.
Nocturne, the Eternal Nightmare. Nocturne is the Hunter of Dreams, a demon of pure evil who stalks the spirit realm and preys on mortals while they sleep. Unlike other nightmares, Nocturne is so terrifying that his influence can damage the minds of mortals to the point of madness, or even death. Fear makes Nocturne stronger, and once he has fed off enough mortals, he can materialize into the physical plane, or even bring a person's nightmares to life. He is fear incarnate, and as long as fear exists, he can never be truly destroyed. Nocturne is a powerful early and mid-game jungler with one of the most iconic ultimates in the game. When activated, Nocturne causes all enemies to become nearsighted. Nocturne can then activate his ultimate again to dash to an enemy within range. Not only is the nearsightedness extremely powerful since it affects the entire enemy team, but the dash on Nocturne's ultimate has insane range. This makes Nocturne extremely good at punishing bad macro plays. Overextend to farm one more minion wave?
Darkness.
Split push a side lane for a little too long?
Darkness.
Try to clear a ward around Baron Pit by yourself?
Darkness.
Try to fight your lane opponent 1v1?
Darkness.
Try to tower dive the enemy team?
Darkness.
A fed Nocturne can paralyze a team with fear, because anytime they try to make a play or overextend in the tiniest bit, you can be there to punish them in an instant. And since Nocturne has such a massive range on his ultimate, conventional ward locations will not spot Nocturne until it's too late, making Nocturne especially good in pick compositions. Contrary to popular opinion, Nocturne is not a farm until level 6 jungler. Yes, his level 6 power spike is great, and his ultimate is his most iconic ability, but Nocturne does possess fearsome dueling power in the early levels. Nocturne is great at contesting scuttle crabs, and he pairs extremely well with laners who have strong crowd control, which will guarantee Nocturne's fear. What really separates good Nocturnes from bad ones is proper spell timing, especially with his spell shield. Nocturne is one of the only champions in the game with a spell shield built into his kit, and it is an extremely powerful ability. Beginner Nocturnes will spam their abilities when they ult in, but more experienced Nocturnes will assess the situation and spell shield the most impactful spell that the enemy team has. A properly timed spell shield can be monumental because not only can it negate an enemy's most potent crowd control or damaging effect, but it also gives Nocturne a massive attack speed buff when he blocks an ability. Another subtle thing that separates good Nocturne players is proper positioning when his fear goes off to direct an enemy in the direction you want them to go. Feared targets always turn away from Nocturne, so position yourself opposite the direction you want the enemy to go, ensuring that you fear them in whatever direction is most optimal for your team. While Nocturne is amazing at picking off lone targets, if the enemy team groups together, things get a lot harder for him. This can make it harder for Nocturne to be successful in the late game, especially if the enemy team is playing a team composition that likes to stay together in a tight group. Where Nocturne really excels is in the mid game, when the map is opened up and there are plenty of opportunities for 1v1 or 2v2 skirmishes that Nocturne can turn in his team's favor. Like other divers, Nocturne has a lot of build variety, and you should always be altering your build to what best complements your team or counters the enemy team. Never autopilot and build the same items on Nocturne. While Nocturne does struggle with team fighting in the late game, he actually can clear waves and kill towers very quickly, making him a decent split pusher on his own. His spell shield and his Q also allow him to get out of sticky situations when the enemy team tries to collapse on him. Nocturne can also use his split push to force enemies to match him in a side lane, and then he can engage on a team fight much faster than his opponent thanks to his ultimate. Overall, Nocturne is one of the best divers in the game for catch compositions, and he excels against split push compositions or any time the enemy team tries to push or defend multiple lanes. He is the punish bad macro decisions diver. He's easy to pick up, but he has a very high skill ceiling, allowing him to be successful from the lowest levels of bronze to the professional scene, bringing terror and darkness to any who challenge him on the Rift.
Why can't I get a straight answer? It's always just, oh no, stop hitting me! Ow, my face!
Vi, the Piltover Enforcer. Vi is the muscle of the Piltover Wardens, a group of officers tasked with keeping the peace in Piltover and Zaun. However, it wasn't always the case that Vi was on the side of the law. Vi grew up an orphan on the streets of Zaun. Her temper got her into more than her fair share of trouble when she was a child, but her fists and her wits were always enough to get her out. Brash, reckless, and fearless, Vi quickly gained a reputation within the Zaunite underworld as a girl who could get things done. While Vi was the leader of her own gang and was guilty of dozens of heists and robberies around the city, she always stuck to her code. She never robbed from anyone who couldn't afford it, and she never hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. Eventually, though, Vi realized that there was no moral code among most of the gangs and chem barons who ran the streets of Zaun. They didn't care about the body count, only that they got their gold and stayed in power. Vi couldn't abide by that, and now with her Hextech-powered gauntlets and her close friend Caitlyn by her side, Vi aims to clean up the streets once and for all. Like Jarvan, Vi is a generalist. She can build anything from full damage to full tank, and she can play an important role in nearly any team composition. Like other divers, however, Vi tends to do best in attack compositions and catch compositions. However, while Jarvan specializes in locking down immobile carries, Vi is especially good at locking down mobile carries. The main reason for this is Vi's ultimate, which causes her to lock on to an enemy champion, dash to them, and knock them up. Point-and-click CC is extremely powerful in League of Legends, and Vi has one of the best point-and-click CCs in the game. Vi can combine her ultimate with her Q for additional crowd control, and then can weave her E in between auto attacks to reset her basic attack timer and proc a Sheen item. This gives Vi an incredible amount of burst, and she can shred armor with her W, she has good AD scaling on all of her abilities, and she has 2 charges of her E that she can use as auto attack resets. Because of Vi's front-loaded damage, Electrocute is the keystone most often taken on her. Vi can also proc Electrocute very quickly with a Q auto E combo, and when combined with Sheen, she can chunk most squishies for a significant portion of their health. Aftershock is the second most common keystone on Vi, since she can proc it with her Q or her ultimate. Aftershock does result in Vi having less burst damage and a weaker early game, but it gives her much better scaling into the late game. Another really important aspect of Vi's ultimate that most people don't know about is that while in her ultimate channel, Vi is unstoppable. This allows Vi to negate key crowd control with a well-timed ultimate, giving her all but guaranteed access to the enemy team's squishy backline. While Vi doesn't have too many complex mechanics, being able to reliably hit a flash Q combo or a Q flash combo definitely will distinguish you from normal Vi players. The other big thing with Vi, as previously discussed, is properly weaving her E in between auto attacks to reset her auto attack timer. Doing this quickly and effectively can greatly increase the damage you can put out. Another cool thing about Vi's E is that you can use it to deal damage to towers, allowing Vi to knock down towers quickly with a Sheen item and the auto attack reset of her E. Not surprisingly, Trinity Force is an extremely common item on Vi. The most common build on Vi is Warrior Enchant Trinity Force Sterix, that you can build Vi full lethality, or you can go into more of a Black Cleaver into tank items build. It really depends on when you want to impact the game the most. Build more damage for a stronger early and mid game, and build more tank items for better scaling. There's plenty of arguments on which items are best on Vi, but it really just depends on how you want to play her. On Vi, you pretty much always want to max Q first, but you typically don't pick up your first point in Q until level 3. Maxing Q first gives Vi a very low cooldown on her primary form of engage and crowd control, which basically allows her to get it off twice in most fights. Furthermore, the damage on her Q scales with rank better than her W or her E, so there's no real reason not to max it first. Whether you max W or E second is situational, and depends on whether you want to be more of a tank shredder or a squishy killer. Overall, Vi is an absolute blast to play. Her kit is completely in tune with her personality and her style, and while Vi is extremely easy to pick up, there's enough nuance to her kit that you can play her all the way to the highest ranks of the league ladder. And that's all the champions we're going to be covering with this video. Let me know in the comments what you love or hate about these divers and which champions or subclasses you want me to cover next. If you enjoyed this video, especially with all the new in-game footage, please hit that like button. This video took a lot of work on my part, and I also had a lot of help from diver mains. As you can see on the screen, I had 10 diver mains help me with this video. A few of these people have YouTube channels or Twitch streams, and I've linked all of them in the video description below. Please check them out and show your support of me by supporting them as well. Also, if you're interested in any of these divers, please check out the subreddits for each of these champions. There are a ton of helpful people there who can answer all of your questions far better than I can. I know this video has been a long time coming, and I appreciate all of you being patient and continuing to support me. If you want me to see me come out with these videos quicker, I could really use some help with some in-game clips. We'll be continuing this series with the final diver champions, but I'm actively looking for clips for all other classes, especially vanguards, catchers, assassins, and specialists. If you have a YouTube channel or a Twitch stream and you want your clips to be featured in my videos, please let me know by leaving a comment or sending me a private message. If you're interested in helping out in future videos, or you're curious what videos I'm planning on doing next, please check out our Discord. There are a ton of helpful people there, and it's the best place to ask me questions, provide suggestions for the channel, discuss esports, or even find a couple people to play a game with. Link to our Discord is in the video description below. Also, please let me know what you think about the new format by leaving a comment below or chatting me up in Discord. And if you made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all of my videos. I hope you all have a fantastic day. This is Randomonium, signing off.